Collecting matters. Oh yeah. I feel it. Little paper dreams and I just start dealing. Oh yeah. From the corner store pulls to the big glass cases.
Welcome to Collecting Matters, where we talk about all levels of collecting. You'll hear from new and seasoned collectors. I'm Rakazadi, and this is Coby, and we believe collecting matters to the culture. Hello. First question straight out the bat. What do you collect?
It's probably easier to ask what I don't collect. Collect whiskey. I collect comics. I collect rare books. I sell sports cards and trading cards. I don't collect them as much because that's more of a business. Collect VHS tapes. I love a VHS tape and old video games and pop culture and memorabilia. Things that matter is how I would phrase my collection. Probably only matters to a small amount of us, but that's what I think is things with history, things that are interesting. It's kind of what I look for.
Yeah, and when you think about, what matters in history, what are some of the things that jump out to you?
Well, piece-wise, to me, it's like there's in collecting has gone so many different ways, and now everyone's trying to value a collectible market. But a collectible market could be anything. It could be stamps, it could be rare books or coins, and it's what matters to the person. So my collection is very varied. It's varied between, I probably have a very nice, interesting collection of whiskey. I have a whiskey at home that I got in a bidding war with the King of England now, King Charles IV, and I won, so I was very happy with that. It was the only whiskey ever handed to Her Majesty the Queen. So that's special. Like things like that there's history in that. The only whiskey ever owned by the Queen of England. I'm a big reader, so J.D. Salinger is probably one of my favorite authors, and I have his Catcher in the Rye first edition signed by him, and that's pretty cool to have as a fan of his. I have the first one of the first copies of the Spider-Man mask actually on my stand, which is screen used by Tobey Maguire. I'm a big Spider-Man guy.
So am I, by the way. Yeah. Huge Spider-Man guy.
Best Spider-Man?
Best Spider-Man. It's hard.
It's not.
I gotta go Tobey.
Yeah. It's
I hit you with a political answer.
Yeah. No, they're all good Spider-Men. There's no such thing as a bad Spider-Man. But Tobey is the Spider-Man.
Tobey. I feel like Batman is a harder question.
Yeah, that is a hard one. Who would you go with Batman?
Man, Batman. They all bring something so much different to the table. I was honestly really intrigued by Robert Pattinson's. I loved, I think Bale did a great job. And if we're going all the way vintage, this might be weird, but I think that I kind of enjoyed Val Kilmer a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just throw it up.
They're with you, so I'm not going to knock you on that. I would say, though, that I think Bale was the best Batman. I would say that Bale was the best all-rounder. I'd say Pattinson is a great Batman, but a terrible Bruce Wayne.
Yes, I think that his Bruce Wayne is, it's year one. Yeah. Bruce Wayne, year two, he's a little bit awkward. Yeah, young gothic. I think if they can make him a little bit more eloquent in, the second one.
That's where Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, and I love Andrew Garfield, but that lost me. As soon as he started skateboarding and it went down the emo punk route, I was like, that is not Spider-Man.
Too cool.
Too cool to be Spider-Man.
Too cool to be Spider-Man.
Exactly.
Spider-Man is a nerd. Everybody knows that.
Everybody knows that.
Yeah. We got off topic there, but no, I'm a huge pop culture guy. Grew up on comic books as well, so no, I love it. So do you have a thesis when you're collecting? When you see something, I know we talked about the history, but you're talking about previously off camera. You're talking about dinosaurs, then you're talking about books. I see even here we've got unopened Superman editions. We've got Muhammad Ali, Lord of the Rings.
A few pieces.
Yeah, is this stuff that you find entertaining, or is it things that you think are culturally relevant?
I think they're culturally relevant. Probably my grand ambition. I have a company called Edition One. Me and my business partner Jordan, two founders of Edition One, and we our grand ambition is to kind of have a home for collectibles. In London, England, we have club culture, and clubs are great, but there's no sports clubs. There's no private members clubs for sports to go and watch the soccer or the F1. And that's what we want to open. We want to have a hobby shop attached to a really cool private members area where you can come and play poker, jump on a golf simulator, play some video games, hang out, just guys hanging out and playing and watching sports. So you can jump on a golf simulator at halftime or watch the race, an open dynasty, that kind of thing. And I just thought that's going to be a great home to showcase some of my memorabilia. Like if there's F1 fans, I have Lewis Hamilton's race-worn overalls from his rookie season at Silverstone, so that's cool. Things that are interesting and different, that's what I've always collected things that matter, but they matter to me, and I always figured my prognosis was that if they matter to me, there's definitely a few other people like me who they'd matter to.
As you've been collecting and building this community, we mentioned this with a previous guest member, how have you found your community? Because I think a lot of people in the hobby, if you collect sports cards, you hang out with, sports guys and sports trading card collectors. You seem to be agnostic and you're collecting outside of the cultural element. Who's your community?
It's so tricky because I can walk around the London Book Fair and feel totally at home, but I can also walk around the National Card Show and feel very comfortable, or Comic-Con. And I know different collectors and different people will come up and show me cool things. And that's always kind of been an interesting spot, is that I probably have got my foot in several different doors of collectibles. I guess it's just what I find interesting. And lots to my wife's horror, I'll say, because when she gets different deliveries and, I think we had 312 different VHS tapes all sealed arrived at one point, and she looked at me like, "Are you serious with this?" When she sees things like I've got a very high-graded Pokemon Red and Pokemon Blue video game still sealed. Like, I grew up playing those. They were cheaper when we were kids. But it's cool to have them sealed, and just one day, I have a 1-year-old, love of my life. His name is Sonny. My prognosis on the future is that whereas I'm possibly a little bit strange that I like old letters and rare books and maybe the old antique here or there, it's not what the new generation are going to like. They're going to want pop culture will become their antiques, in my theory, is that for them, a Pokemon Red video game, at that point, he's 1 year old now, and let's say in 30 years' time, there's going to be hundreds of Pokemon games. The very first one, sealed, graded, that's going to matter to him. Like, that's going to matter to him more than an ancient antique bowl or a beautiful ottoman from the Victorian era. Those are cool things, but they're not going to resonate with the next generation. So I think that pop culture will become the antiques of the future.
Yeah, is that one of the things you love about this hobby, is the ability? And and I've heard hobby through a couple of these interviews, but would you consider it a hobby, or is this something else to you? And I haven't asked that question to anyone else, but yeah.
I don't have a short answer for that. My answer would probably be that it's a documentation of what's important to me. And it's important to me as in, like, things that matter to me growing up that possibly resonate with people of my generation, that maybe one day we'll go into a museum and people think, "Oh, these are really interesting." I was saying earlier that I used to run around Swap Shop Market, which is a little market in Florida, with my dad as a kid, and my dad's my inspiration. We collected everything together. And I would buy Michael Jordan rookie cards. This is the early 90s. They weren't what they are now. And I've had them graded recently. I've got one of my son's Zion. I'm building him his own little Zion. And that to me is special. Like, his dad bought that in a market, got it graded. It's worth a lot of money now, and it's set aside for him. But no, collectibles I think it just matters because someone has to preserve the history of pop culture. And preservation is books and movies and VHS tapes, and we grew up on DVDs and things like that. So things like that, I think, are important for the future.
Yeah, it's almost like you're a pop culture historian, or like a
That'd be
anthropologist
a
of
cool
sorts.
business card, pop culture historian.
Hey, you should steal it. You got it. It's
There you
on you.
go.
Yeah.
I'm gonna trademark that. Pop culture historian.
Yeah. When you're talking to people in this industry, this hobby, this, whatever we want to call it, what are some other things that you've heard that they like, dislike? What are some things that you feel like maybe the hobby is missing?
The hobby is missing. I think people are now using. There's a lot of private equity coming into the hobby, and I think for them, they're seeing a quick buck, saying, okay, those nerdy kids who collected comics and bought the Spider-Mans and the X-Mens and things like that, and now they paid 5,000. Now they're worth 500,000. That's a pretty decent return. S&P 500 hasn't done that. That might be an interesting place to put some money. Um, the person who bought that comic, when I bought my comics, when I bought my first Spider-Man 1, things like that, I didn't buy it because there was an intrinsic money value to it. It was because it mattered to me. It's, that's my favorite thing about the hobby is it matters to me. And with the negativity side of the hobby is that with the money coming into it, it's increased things astronomically, which is good and bad. It's actually, sadly, a lot of true collectors are priced out of the hobby, which is very sad. It's also become dangerous because where I used to have all my things on display, can't do that anymore. It's too dangerous to keep things at home. Value my family's health first, so things are sadly kept in a vault or in a safety deposit box in different areas, and to coordinate getting things over is not the easiest anymore. So that's probably why I think a museum would be an interesting place for collectibles in the future.
Yeah, I totally agree. And we've heard a lot of the same sentiments echoed. What would be the biggest difference in the collecting industry here versus London, where you're at?
London's the center of the world. Um, and everyone comes through there from the Far East, the Middle East, America, Europe. It's a very good location to have built my network of collectors and people who are interested in interesting pieces. This States is a different ballgame because the money is here and there's, millions more people here, tens of millions more people here. So the States is the home of pop culture, but I think London's an interesting place for it. I think London is we have music history, we have the royalty of Her Majesty and King William, King Charles now, and Prince Williams, and that's rare in its own right. So yeah, I would say that London's probably an interesting place for a collector because if you're as eclectic as me and you collect vinyl records and rare books and Pokemon cards, well, yeah, there's a bit of something for everything. Something for everyone in London, I would say.
Something for everyone. I like that. What was your first thing that you collected?
I would go to Comic Cons with my dad. I collected random things as a kid. So the Michael Jordan rookie I told you about, loved Ninja Turtles, and I'd always keep those things sealed.
Pause. Favorite Ninja Turtle?
Leonardo.
Okay, great. Yeah, great taste.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
I was an oldest child, so yeah.
Leonardo, he's the man.
Gotta go.
Yeah. So I always collected things like that, and always opened my action figures, but everything else I always kept sealed, which I'm glad I did because some of them are silly now, and just thought they were cool. They just looked cool on my wall. I was happy to have them, and then from that I got into comics with my dad. We were bored one Sunday. London's first Comic Con, first official Comic Con. I think there were 12 tables. I think there were 12 tables with maybe 18 people there. And we walked around, we bought the first Spider-Man, we bought the first X-Men the next time we went, and the first Iron Man. And that kind of continued and continued. And then Robert Downey Jr. came along and did us all a favor and opened the MCU with his historic Iron Man film. And just from that moment, the values of everything comic related really ignited.
And for my last question, I would love to know what you have here sitting with us and do a little show and tell.
Okay, let's do it. So these are just a small curation of things on my stand. There's a lot more. It's about 1% of the collection. So This is a fight that was fought in a gym in Maine between Sonny Liston and Muhammad Ali. And let me see if I can find. Hold on one second. Yeah. So the Ali versus Liston, back then his name was Cassius Clay. After this fight, he changed it to Muhammad Ali. So this is almost the origin story, if you want, of Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
I just thought it was really cool. It's a ticket from the fight. It's in really good condition. There's different colored tickets. The main one was blue, so the orange one is quite rare. I just thought it was a nice piece. So that's the Muhammad Ali Sonny Liston fight ticket.
So sick.
Just go completely in a different direction here. Now, like I said, I'm a big book guy. This is Lord of the Rings. These are all first editions. And this one here, the first one here, is signed by Tolkien.
Wow.
And now when you look at, especially with sports card autos, some of them are just like a scribble. He's got a really distinctive, beautiful auto, Tolkien.
Yeah, wow.
So that I thought was a pretty cool piece. Back to Muhammad Ali for a second, because I have a few things of his on my stand. This is Andy Warhol, and this is dual signed by Andy Warhol and Muhammad Ali. And you have Pele, the soccer star, Muhammad Ali, in that iconic piece. And Warhol didn't sign too much. To have him and Ali as a dual auto on a picture with his original artwork is just unique and different and rare.
Grandfather of pop art. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Let me show you one more thing. You have to come to London and I'll give you a tour of the...
I haven't been back. I went to the Tate Modern.
Amazing.
Checked it all out, 2025. Yeah.
Next time you come to London, I'll give you a pop culture tour of some of the collectibles we have.
Please, I'll shoot you a text.
Yeah. So this is Superman, the movie. It's Christopher Reeves, sealed. I believe it's the highest graded because there's only two. One's owned by me, one's owned by the Christopher Reeves estate. So to me, that's pop culture and history all in one thing. That movie changed superhero culture, changed the value of comics. It kind of kick-started pop culture, if you would.
Yep.
And the sealed VHS tape, first off the line, it's just a wild bit of collectible. So that to me is history of cinema, of comics, of pop culture, kind of all tied into one. So there's a few pieces I brought to show you today.
Collecting matters. Oh yeah. I feel it. Little paper dreams and I just